Forbes did a survey last year, and 62% of kind of employees are more productive outside a traditional working environment. But then you've also got on the other side, 33% of people are struggling with isolation working from home. So we were like, right, how do we fit into this gap to make people more productive, but also look after their well-being side of it?
Hello, and thank you for tuning in to the Yorkshire Business Podcast. We feature bright and brilliant businesses from across Yorkshire, and I have got a really, really inspiring guest today. Today, I'm talking to James. James is the founder of the Reef app. The Reef app is a solution for freelancers and remote workers of all different kinds. They are a globally operating businesses now in over 20 countries, so they really are going for global domination here, but have roots right here in South Yorkshire in Sheffield. My name's Chloe, I'm the founder of OneSource HR, and I'm the host of the Yorkshire Business Podcast.
Hi everyone, I'm James. I'm originally from London, but been Sheffield's been my home for the last 10, 11 years now. And I won't be moving back down south anytime soon.
No?
No, it's nice up here.
Yeah, nice. What brought you initially from London to Sheffield?
Work, originally. I was in logistics tech,
Cool.
Which is a fun industry, especially when I was in it way before logistics caught up with any sort of tech as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there was just, Sheffield was kind of perfect on the M1, A1, M62, where all the clients were.
Yeah.
So it was just a nice, easy place. And it's also a lot cheaper than London up here as well, which is nice.
Yeah. Logistics tech, that's so interesting. What did that look like kind of before what it looks like now? Because I've been inside some big warehouses where they've kind of got lorries stacked on shelves almost, and it's very, very automated.
Yeah, so this was a system where it basically told you where your kind of lorries were at the time, where they would go in, kind of all the information for each lorry all attached into it. So we're basically selling that into these businesses. I'll go into some though, and you know those printers that have the kind of green and white stripes on?
Yeah.
I'll go into one of them had one of them, and I'm like, this is not the right person to be selling some cloud solution to.
Yeah.
So yeah, it had its moments, but it was also at that turning point where the logistics companies were realizing they needed tech to be more efficient, because they were coming up to like a lot of cost saving exercises as well.
I guess you've stayed in tech, kind of, sort of.
Yeah, so after that, kind of did about 7 years in marketing.
Yeah.
Doing marketing agencies. I've always kind of self-taught myself certain bits, but I wanted to get into more agency level because my background was more sales.
Yeah.
So I thought if I could get the marketing arm to that sales piece, if I ever go and start my business, it would be beneficial.
Yeah.
So went into that, went more on the kind of technical side of marketing, so technical SEO, websites, apps, and kind of development on that side of it. Kind of worked up to kind of ops director at kind of an agency kind of in London and Yorkshire, and then it kind of led me to Reef basically.
Yeah, awesome. So tell us about Reef. What is Reef?
So it's basically a platform that shows these laptop-friendly hospitality venues across the world now that give you offers on food and drink that you can go and work from. Know there's going to be good enough Wi-Fi. Don't have to come across what we call coffee guilt, where you feel like you've got to buy a coffee every 5 minutes to warrant your stay. And just know it's going to be a nice little setting to get either work done or meet with clients and colleagues as well. Because the whole idea came around was I was traveling in the UK, meeting different clients, and got fed up of going to a certain large coffee chain shop because it was always noisy, busy, and could barely find a plug socket to get work done. So I'm like, why is there not an easier way other than going on Google Maps and just hoping the place is going to be open and they're going to have some sort of Wi-Fi on there as well. And yeah, there was nothing really out there to support me with that side of it either.
I completely get that. And some of the bigger kind of co-working spaces, they're just a bit out of reach in terms of price. Sometimes I feel, I'm signed up to one specific one where you get a little black card to go in and out. But just for sort of an hour, a couple of hours, it can be 50 quid. And you think, like, yeah, it's only 50 quid, but it's a bit steep for,
if
for
you go
what
in
you're getting.
each day as well, you can get monthly passes and
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah.
that. I said when we was in marketing, we were in co-working spaces, and it was great if we were in 5 days a week. It was cost effective, but now people are in 1, 2, maybe 3 times a week. It just isn't there, especially with startups and smaller businesses. That cost where it could be utilised somewhere else in the business.
Yeah, yeah. So you kind of had a personal pain point and have turned it into what is, a globally operating business now, headquartered right here in Sheffield, which is really, really awesome. What does your kind of team look like now?
So in the UK, there's just 4 of us.
Yeah.
Globally, there's about 27 across the different countries, which is great because there's certain countries that I have no idea about the local market or knowledge. So they've been great for that side of it. But we're keeping it very small. We're growing, probably doubling the size this year, but we don't see us getting really kind of hundreds of employees. Through in the UK, it's going to be kind of as lean as possible and utilising the likes of AI now that's coming out and streamlining all the kind of different processes we've got in place as well.
How do you find that, like managing a global team? Does it come with pros and cons?
I've totally forgot about time zones when I started it up. But I said luckily the US team are in Florida, so it's only 5 hours behind, but the guys in Singapore and New Zealand sometimes about 13 hours in front. So it's kind of planning beforehand our meetings, because otherwise it could be a very early start in the morning for me to jump on those calls. But to be fair, the people we've got running there are quite self-sufficient and kind of are kind of entrepreneurial kind of types of people as well, so just crack on. We've got everything in the cloud, everything's all online, so they can access anything 24/7 as well.
Yeah, and I think nowadays, you have got to have some boundaries where you think, no, I'm switching off and I'm not looking or focusing on work at this specific moment in time, because, you've got to care for your own well-being and role model that for the rest of your team as well. We have got such global communication just at our fingertips now, and things like WhatsApp messages, Teams messages, Slack, whatever you're using, it's quite easy to pick that up.
Especially where we're kind of promoting well-being as our business main kind of mission. So it's trying to do that ourselves at the same time.
Yeah. How did you find recruiting globally for those different positions?
To be fair, most of it was kind of network, utilising my network that's already there. So either people that I know directly or people through other people, and we've kind of grown it through that way. And then obviously they've got their networks within their own countries to kind of grow from there. So it's been quite nice through that aspect, because I've been growing my network since I've been in business, especially with LinkedIn now. It's so much easier to do so. If there's someone I've worked with before that I know that's kind of been good, I would kind of keep them there. So if I do need them later, or if I do need something, then I know they're there and they're great at that, and I can kind of bring them on as well.
Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of people miss when it comes to having a network. It's not the initial networking, it's the nurturing of that person or those people over a period of time. And you never know, somebody that you met 5 or 10 years ago, when you might need their skills, their resources, want to pick their brains, have a collaboration opportunity. So ensuring you kind of nurture that over time as well.
So Becky, our first employee, I worked with her probably about a 13-year gap between kind of working with her and bringing her on as our first employee. This
is the thing that I think a lot of people might not immediately find the link between sort of your offering and this well-being piece. Can you just explain that a little bit more for us?
Yeah, so we kind of started building the platform in January 2020, which you can probably imagine was a fun time to get in with the hospitality sector, because everything shut down. But what that did, we did a lot of kind of research on kind of what was happening with this overnight there was no real onboarding, just overnight switch to remote working for everyone. And because there was no actual onboarding or processes in place, because it was very much before a lot of companies were, it's impossible for us to work from home, and then all of a sudden they're working from home, so nothing was set up. So we were finding out a lot of people were burning out because they didn't know how to separate their kind of personal and work life
Yeah.
from one space. But also isolation and loneliness was kicking in as well, working from home. Forbes did a survey last year, and 62% of kind of employees are more productive outside a traditional working environment.
Mm-hmm.
But then you've also got, on the other side, 33% of people are struggling with isolation working from home. So we were like, right, how do we fit into this gap to make people more productive, but also look after their well-being side of it?
Yeah.
So like, let's create kind of like a middle ground in between their home and the office for them to go to either just get out of the house. We've got a lot of bookings at the moment because it's the holidays.
Yeah.
Kids are at home, so one of the parents either goes out one day, one goes out the next day to get the work done. From there, or it could just be, again, just people just getting out just to have a bit of social environment around them. And others are just kind of meeting up with their colleagues in person as well, because they're a lot more productive in person, but also helps with that isolation and supporting that side of it too. So I said our main mission is to utilise Reef really to support the mental health and well-being of those working remotely at any time. It could be hybrid workers, fully remote workers, or even field sales teams that are on the road as well.
Yeah. No, I think you've answered sort of a question that a lot of people might have had there, which is, okay, well, if people are not so productive from home, why not just go back to the office? But actually,
I don't think it's as black or as white as that.
No, and not everybody is productive in the office. Like you
Yeah.
said, it's that non-traditional working environment where people might be able to find a better level of productivity or find a good creative flow as well.
Yeah, it's educating people on it as well, I think, because again, we work with a lot of pubs because they're in more rural areas, and it just gets people, just if they want to go 5 minutes down the road, they can go and work from there, and they're totally dead during the day in the week. So what we're trying to do is educate people, go there, because again, when I used to work in London, if you go to the pub at kind of midday for a working lunch, you don't really go back to the office.
Yeah.
So it's educating people. That is like, we've had people that have come to us after doing that, and they go, I've got literally a week's work of work done because there's literally nothing for me to do in the pub other than work.
Yeah.
And then at 5 o'clock comes, they kind of, if they're meeting with their colleagues, they can have a drink afterwards. So it brings in that after work social side of it. So kind of bonding together as a team as well.
Yeah. No, I totally get that. Just being in a place where you think, okay, I'm in my work zone now, I'm here to get work done, and you really can just zone in and
I think
get stuff done.
People underestimate that commute.
Yeah.
Of actually kind of your commute is there to kind of switch off from home going to work, or switch off from work going back home.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I used to get the tube in all the time, and the commute is the worst thing, especially because it's like normally an hour, because I was working on the other side of London with the office. But now it's kind of like a 5-minute walk or a 10-minute drive kind of to a venue. It just gives you that time to switch off from what you kind of do, so you're ready for coming home or going to work as well.
In terms of that traditional commute, I've had jobs where I've had to drive 45 minutes, an hour away, and it's really impacted my well-being actually, because I don't have time to do things like fit in the gym, or eating a bit healthier, or walking my dog, or just spending a bit of me time. A good bit of me time I like to have now is like watering my garden and stuff on a morning, and just spending that time kind of emptying my mind before I start my day. And actually, a commute to a workplace like that is very different to being able to have a 5-10 minute walk to a local coffee shop.
Yeah.
So I think the commute gets a lot of bad stick. But maybe that's the traditional commute versus what you can achieve by going somewhere that's non-traditional workplace.
Exactly. You don't want to be spending an hour in traffic.
Yeah, stressful.
Yeah.
Get to
It's
work,
kinda
you're
doing
already
the opposite of what you're trying to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you can spend that extra kind of half an hour kind of chilling and getting ready kind of for the day, and then having a half an hour commute even, it's a stat somewhere I read about, I can't remember the exact things, but having half an hour and less is much more beneficial than over it. But
it's good for the local economy and the hospitality sector as well, which has been under such a constant struggle for a lot of years now, kind of through COVID, and then post that with things like the national insurance hikes. Actually being able to encourage people to come out and spend a bit of time and spend a bit of money in those spaces is a real positive thing too.
looked earlier, it was 2 closing every day at the moment in 2025, which I think's dropped slightly from 2024. But again, you want to be kind of having it the opposite way around to opening every day in hospitality. So I said there are brands out there doing really well, but there are other brands struggling, and we're trying to help all of the hospitality sector really to thrive, and that's kind of where the name Reef sort of come from as well.
Okay.
So Reef is kind of a diverse community, kind of helping each other to thrive, and we're basically creating that within this kind of remote work ecosystem where you've got your remote workers of all different types and all your venues of all different types coming together, and hopefully both sides thriving on the back of it.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. I think naturally people can see how this kind of model and concept works for freelancers, and it's something that freelancers have been doing for a long time. But I know from hearing you speak before that actually you work with some other businesses, and really as part of their kind of wellbeing strategy. Can you just kind of share how this concept does work for those bigger businesses as well?
Yeah, so we said we've got anywhere between kind of a kind of freelancer on their own, all the way up to businesses with thousands of employees that utilize it. So from a business perspective, they're kind of what they're looking at is happier employees are more productive, their retention levels are higher, so they don't have big recruitment kind of bills for their kind of turnover of staff. Expenses as well, especially within the field sales size, kind of looking at the moment. So like I said, everything's kind of going up in price, so they're looking to save on there. And they're the kind of 3 main things that we help with businesses on. But like I said, our main drive is to help their employee wellbeing side of it. Because like I said, happier employees are better employees in general.
Do you kind of track how many of their employees are using it and what they're getting out of it?
Yes, they get a full-on dashboard, so they can see how many hours each person spent each month all together. So again, if someone's spending a lot more time than everyone else, is there a reason for that? So they can flag pieces of information like that too. We've just launched our new platform where they can actually see where their colleagues are working.
Okay.
So whereas before you can have people going, I'm going to work from here, who wants to join us, which is very extroverted. We're like, what about the introverts? How they did, because they're not going to go up and say, who wants to come and work with me somewhere? So what we've done is they can then see who's working there and say, okay, John's working from there today. I'm going to book into that venue and work there with him. So again, helps the isolation piece within there too, but also increases productivity because it's 2 people collaborating in person for the business side of it.
I'm guessing that as well they can see quite a big reduction in the expenses for things
generally
like...
average company saves about 20% in their kind of food and drink expenses, bills on there. But again, from the hospitality, they're like, are you taking 20% out of it? I'm like, no, because what we're doing is driving a brand new footfall into that hospitality where they're quiet during the 9 to 5 periods, because the hospitality venues can choose when they want to be on Reef. So if they're giving a small discount on food and drink to our users, they're still getting that extra footfall in. And we've also had users that go back at weekends with their friends and family, and because they didn't even know that place was on their doorstep from a venue as well.
Yeah, and that's honestly what I was going to say next. It's not just about the initial going there. It's if you have a good experience, you're kind of like, I didn't even know this place was here. It's so close, and actually I'm going to go back on the weekend. I'll go for a coffee with my sister or whatever it might be. And I know that, you know, I've done that through discovering different venues for work and having meetings and stuff. Yeah,
there's so many amazing ones out there. It's just getting them in front of people, because they don't have the massive marketing budgets like the other companies do out there, like the big chains. So it's getting those small independents in front of the people as well.
You're obviously globally operating, although you're based in Sheffield yourself. Is there anywhere in the world where you're not yet and you want to go?
Said you're kind of taking over Europe's kind of this half of the year, moving into next year. So we've got venues in kind of Portugal, Netherlands, Germany. We kind of want to move more into those places, and Spain as well, just because a lot of the companies we work with in the UK have a big European presence, or they go there for events and kind of need places to work from whilst they're there. We just launched into Singapore, which is quite a cool place, but also kind of the other kind of Asian areas like your Thailand is a big, especially kind of remote side of it. Indonesia as well, we're about to launch into, and India, which is a huge remote working kind of space. I didn't realise how actually big it is for remote working.
Yeah.
So that's kind of our target to move on to as well. So yeah, and a few more states in the US. I don't think you realise the scale of how big the US is until you try and launch something there. It's huge. So we're doing it state by state over there.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. And kind of on the US, I know that in my role in kind of HR consultancy, I've felt the backlash of politics and what's happening politically and economically in the US right now, and how that's influencing the decision-making processes in the UK and with UK businesses. How's business for you over there?
Fun.
It's
probably the best way of describing it. I said when kind of they went fully remote at the beginning of COVID, even like here, people moved out of London, for example, because it was a lot cheaper to get on the property ladder.
Yeah.
Just a nicer environment as well. But people did that in the US, but they would move from California to Florida, which is a lot further. And now they're being kind of asked to come back to the office. So there's a lot of people quitting their jobs over there, going freelance themselves because they have experienced that freedom now. And they're like, this is what I want to have an actual life rather than have my life revolved around my work.
Yeah.
So that's where people are going over in the US now.
I think it's really positive that we're moving from this position of rather than living to work, we work to live. And actually by working to live, companies get a lot more productivity, efficiency out of people. There are heaps and heaps of studies that demonstrate that there is that connection between people, that productivity, the business performance and business profitability. It's just kind of a no-brainer to take care of people a little bit better.
Yeah, it's also as well the absenteeism is kind of reduced because, again, working from home, if you kind of don't have the energy to go actually commute and go into a workplace or travel into the city, but you're like, you know what, I'm okay to kind of just get a bit of work done at home. So people are more productive that way. Which again, you don't want to kind of promote if you're ill work because you're not coming to an office, but people generally do just to again keep on top of things as well. 56% reduction in unscheduled absences at companies with flexible work policies kind of just says it all really, because it's less, well, it's over half.
And it makes you wonder how many people in the past have actually been ringing in sick, not because they're actually unwell, but just because they need a little bit more flexibility. Like they genuinely just don't have time to do something on that day, like take their kid to school before
caring for someone as well.
because they're in an emergency situation, or like you said, caring responsibilities, things like that can have a huge impact. I think work can be a lot more accessible if we just try.
Yeah. It was even before, if like you take the day off if you had to go for a doctor's appointment or take the morning off. But now you just go to the doctor's appointment, come back, get your work done. We're very much at a thing as like there's a certain amount of time you've got to work, but it's very much kind of the more black and white of it is as long as kind of KPIs and goals are hit, you don't care where you work from, kind of how long you work on it, as long as your numbers are being hit, then why would we say something different if you're productive doing work in these hours instead of them hours? And making work actually be about work and not kind of be in a location or a time.
So what is next with Reef? Because, you know, we've got global domination here. What's coming next?
So we want to be in about 20 countries by the end of this year. We've got 9,000 venues globally, but we want to just in the UK have 10,000 venues for people to go and utilise. Again, it's the country we launched into, so it makes sense for it to kind of go on those numbers. And I say globally at the moment we've got about 2,000 companies utilising us, and again we want to kind of bring that up to by 5,000 by the end of this year. Again, we've only just started having a marketing budget, so it's all been kind of word of mouth, networking, LinkedIn to grow it to this stage. So it's kind of fun, but also daunting of actually what we can actually do with actually a marketing budget as well to get it to grow. We want to also kind of, again, increase that collaboration piece. So within the platform in the next couple of months, we're actually going to bring out like an events page on there where our users can set up their own co-working days because they happen all the time. but it's just trying to centralize everything for that. So we're going to have it on there so they can build it through Reef. Other Reef users can see on there as well, so they can go and meet up with them, and then they will then get the F&B offers on the day as well at the same time through that too. Because again, freelancers are all kind of on their own as well, so if you can kind of bring them together, that can help their isolation piece as well. And we're looking into a bit of AI, like everyone is at the moment, on how to integrate that. And it will be around kind of sustainability and being eco-friendly. So choosing kind of venues if you want to meet up with someone that's kind of the most kind of friendliest to get to through kind of emissions and the likes like that too. So that's on the cards. I haven't told Dev yet this about doing AI, but they'll find out now.
Exciting, they're gonna love you.
Yeah.
Fab, super exciting time.
Yeah, so we're going to do an exclusive discount promotional code for yourselves as well.
Cool.
So OneSource 20, so OneSource 20, you get 20% off as well.
Awesome.
A Reef membership on that basis too.
Amazing. So OneSource 20, that's the exclusive code for Reef for the Yorkshire Business Podcast listeners. Thank you so much for that, and thanks for coming on the podcast today.